Hello and welcome to another episode of The Influential Nonprofit. It's me, your friend Maryanne, Chief Excitement Officer of Courageous Communication. And today we're going to be talking about a leadership reset, how to redefine the success for the season you're in. Now, here's the thing. I didn't plan on recording this episode. Like a lot of things in life, I was supposed to have a guest this week. They had to reschedule. You know what? Stuff happens. I've had to reschedule a lot of stuff in the last 2 weeks because I was very sick. Very sick for 2 weeks. I could not get better. Finally went to urgent care, got some good drugs and some medical intervention just in time to feel better to go to Cancun for the weekend with my best friend for Best Friends Weekend. We go away for a couple of days each year and have a whole lot of fun. So, a lot of stuff that was on my calendar got pushed away, and I spent a lot of time, just a lot of downtime. After I pretty much watched every TV show I could think of, um, and more, I really had a chance to power down. And when you slow down, that's when sort of the good stuff comes through. And somewhere between, the quiet mornings and the cough drops and all of the things, I realized something. Sometimes you have to stop moving to see where you're really going. And for me, that happened because I got sick. What I'd love for us to think about is doing this not because we have to, but because we choose to power down. A friend told me once many years ago, when you slow down, the universe speeds up. Because when you slow down, that shows that you have trust and faith in the systems and the things that you've built that will come through for you. But this isn't really what our culture teaches us. What our culture teaches us is go, 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 rush, do. And that is exhausting. And also, it does not give us a chance to pause, reflect, regroup, all of those things. So, today, what we're going to talk about is a leadership reset, how to redefine your, how to redefine success for yourself. And let me just start by saying, here's what I've noticed. We are, like I said, running on an old definition of success. We're busy chasing things that may not matter as much as we think we do, but things that we were taught to chase for years: growth, survival, visibility, busyness, right? When somebody says to you, "Oh, how are things going?" You go, "Oh, I'm so busy." What you're really saying is, "Look how important I am. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm so important." But busyness is not being important. It's just filling your life with stuff so you can feel important. Right? These goals may have been built for an earlier version of you, the scrappy startup leader, the overachiever, the I'll do whatever it takes to keep the doors open version of you, the version of you that just didn't know any better and believed all the crap that people were telling you that you have to be and stay productive at all times. But as you and your organization evolves, your success metrics should too. And you can start feeling tired, frustrated, disconnection from your work, even if things look good on paper. It's probably, and I'm just going to say this, and you can see if this fits for you, but it's probably not the burnout from doing too much. It's the burnout from doing things that are no longer serving you. They're no longer working for you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pause and ask, is my definition of success still serving me? Or have I outgrown it? Okay. And you can listen and decide, because this may be validating for you, saying, hey, I feel like I'm in alignment. I'm doing pretty good. Or it could be, maybe I do need a reset, or a little bit of both. You get to decide. As always, you're the sovereign one. I'm giving you some content, some wisdom, and you always get to decide what works for you or not. Okay. I like to think of leadership like the seasons. Okay. Spring is about new beginnings and growth, it's seed planting, right? Summer is energy and growth, it's visibility. Think of like showy flowers, expansion, growth. But fall is refinement, and it is pruning and cutting back, and and focusing on quality over quantity, right? It is kind of like pulling away and paring down. And then winter is rest, reflection, and preparing for what's next. Now, our calendar typically starts in the winter, but if you look at like the intention of the calendar, like was to start in March, in spring, as a new year, which makes so much more sense. So I tend to look at the calendar of the seasons as starting with spring, because that is about the seed planting and the growth. But the winter is rest, reflection, and preparation for what's next. And I talk a lot about this, and so many of my coaches in my life have shown me that there are rhythms to everything. There's a rhythm to a year, there's a rhythm to a season, there's a rhythm to a day, a week, a month. And honoring those rhythms is what keeps us energized and motivated and keeps our cup full. But the problem is that we try to live every season like it's summer, constantly growing, producing, achieving, right? You're not going to be in bloom 12 months a year, but every healthy system, every healthy leader has needs a fall and a winter. Right now we're moving into fall. My plants that were so lush, they're starting to turn. The leaves are starting to fall. We're starting to strip away right at the energy and growth in preparation for the rest, reflection. Fall is a time of harvest, of bringing in, of reaping the rewards of the spring and the summer. So we're going to talk about what season you are as a leader and what your definition of success looks like. Success evolves just like you, thank goodness. So let's make sure who you are and your definition of success are in alignment and are working together. Number one, alignment and integrity. Success isn't about how much you do, thank goodness. It's about how aligned it is with who you are. Okay, ask yourself, are my actions in sync with my mission and values? Maybe success now looks like saying no to something that doesn't fit. Could it? Could you say no? Or feeling at peace with the decision, even if it's not the popular one. Success, here's your mantra for this one. Success is when my calendar reflects my values. Isn't that? I'm going to say it again. Success is when my calendar reflects my values. Let's talk about this just for a couple of minutes, because success may look like saying no to something that doesn't fit. This is a great example. Let's say you have the afternoon blocked out to do some work, and a board member calls and says, "Hey, can you meet at 4 o'clock?" And you don't really have anything on your calendar, quote unquote, right? It's just a time that you had set aside. So you said, "Yeah, I can meet with you," immediately feeling resentment that you had to drop what you're doing, but also feeling like you don't have any other choice. You do have a choice. You can say, "Actually, I'm booked this afternoon. What does tomorrow look like for you?" Because your calendar can reflect your values. You don't have to turn cartwheels for people. You don't have to be available. And you could say, "Hey, that's not a great time for me." Or you don't even have to say that. They can say, "Can you meet at 4?" And you could say, "You know what? How about tomorrow at 10 a.m.?" You don't even have to say no to the first offer, just suggest the second one. But what that looks like is success is when my calendar reflects my values. I don't feel like I'm on the rapid, right? Going from rock to rock. Like I'm a reed in the water and things are flowing around me, but I'm firmly planted. You have way more control over your time than you think you do. I could go example after example, but I give you one more thing. Someone took my course, and like literally people that who worked for her found her like in the park doing paperwork. They hunted her down And I said, setting up new agreements with and boundaries about your time is going to give you some sovereignty. Like, I'm happy to meet with you, and I'm available between this time and this time for those kinds of discussions. And you can be sovereign to that. Another client of mine they worked in a small office, but she put up a really pretty shower curtain across her cube and was like, hey, if the curtain's closed, I'm focused. If it's open, I'm available for conversation. And that worked. And now her calendar reflects her values. Thinking about that sovereignty over your calendar. That's what success looks like. Not meeting, or doing crap that doesn't really move your mission forward. Success is when my calendar reflects my values. Love that for you. Okay. Enter number 2, energy and sustainability. Let's get into it. Old success. How much can I handle? So true. New success. How well can I sustain what matters? Hustle and grind are not sustainable. Grace, ease, and flow is sustainable. So when you can step away without everything falling apart, that's leadership. When your team operates from rhythm instead of adrenaline, that's success. And I want you to think about that. Your team is operating from rhythm, right? From the natural rhythm and flow of work instead of adrenaline and stress and deadline. And I know sometimes crazy stuff happens, right? And it's not that crazy stuff isn't going to happen. It's just that crazy stuff can be part of the rhythm of work. And we can all stay grounded and we can all stay energized, but not like the adrenaline of tension energized. That my cup is overflowing. I'm happy at work energized. Here's your mantra for that, which is success is when I end more weeks energized than exhausted. And I don't even know if I want to say the word, but success is when I end a week energized. The old you could have ended the week exhausted, right? And you just throw yourself out there and you wind up like sleeping all weekend and burrowing away because you have no energy to give anybody else. Again, that is not sustainable. So you can step away. Like that is a great leader, is to be able to step away. So many people are afraid to leave because they're afraid that things will happen without them and that will look bad on them because, right, they value productivity. And instead of valuing themselves as good leaders who train people to operate effectively when they're not around, that's what you want. Number 3, here we go. Relationships and culture. Success used to mean visibility. How many people can I know? How many likes can I get? All of that. Now it's about vibrancy. Man, I love that word. Vibrancy. It feels good to say it. The quality of the relationships and culture around you. Do your people feel seen, valued, safe? Do your donors feel connected, not just cultivated, right? Do they feel truly connected and supported by you? Or do they just feel quote unquote cultivated? Here's my monthly check in, blah, blah, blah. Do conflicts resolve with care and honesty? It's not about visibility. It's not about checking the box. Oh, I have to call them 7 times because I know they need 7 touches in order to give. People aren't ATMs. This is about the quality of the relationship. It's about vibrancy. Here's your mantra. Success is when people feel better after interacting with me or my organization. People are the better for knowing you or knowing the folks in your organization. That is a measure of success. That is incredible. I'm very conscious of how I move through the world and the vibe I want to put out in the world, and that I want people to feel lighter and brighter and more joyful for knowing me. And I know this isn't 100%. That's okay. We're all people. We have bad days. And you also know that sort of the 80-20 rule. Success is when people feel better for knowing me or my organization. That feels good. That's sustainable. That is leadership. Okay, we're trucking through number 4, impact and legacy. Heck yeah. You've probably been chasing bigger impact numbers, right? More money, more subscribers, more dollars, all, more donors. But what if true impact is depth, not breadth? Right? Think about the stories of transformation instead of statistics. Influence ripples outward. Systems that influence that ripples outward, systems that last beyond your tender. Okay. When when we're measuring the impact, it's not about breadth, it's about depth. It's about transformation. It's not about output. It's about outcomes. And a lot of us are focused on output. We fed this many people, and yes, hungry people, I want to feed them, right? But what is the outcome? How am I changing so that there's less hungry people in the world? That's a legacy. Success is when change continues after I've stepped away. Change continues after I stepped away. I'm going to tell you a little story. Um, when my younger two started the grade school, my daughter's autistic. I looked for so many schools for her, found the best school in my neighborhood public school, and I live in the city of St. Louis. It was an amazing school. I was prepared to shell out serious bucks for one of these private schools. The school is so much better, so much more forward thinking. I couldn't believe what I had found. The principal said, I just want you to know this school's on the closed list. And I said, whoa. And I said, I tell you what, you take care of my kids. I'm going to take care of your school. And that's exactly what I did. I used all my marketing, PR, and organizing skills to organize parents. I had a friend in the neighborhood who was a leader in the neighborhood. She was a reverend at the church down the street, and she organized the neighborhood. I organized the parents, and between those two groups, we petitioned the district and had the school stay open. And and a function of that was to reinvigorate the PTO, which I ran for I think 2 years, and then willed it off to someone. And that PTO to this day is thriving. And my kids, my oldest is 19. So this was, I think, 2012, more than 10, 12 years ago. That is the legacy of change. When success is when change continues after I've stepped away. Not only is that school still open and thriving, but the parents are involved many, many years after I've been gone. But the threat of closure mobilized all of us. And then, and now it is the neighborhood school and they feel ownership of it and they are taking care of it. That is success. That is success. If I step away and it collapses, that's codependence. That's not success. And it may make us feel good. It may me feel good. Oh, they need me so much. Look at my halo. Look how shiny it is. But that's not leadership. That's codependence and neediness. Okay. Number 5, joy and fulfillment. Yay. I love joy. Joy is not optional. It's a leadership strategy. Joy is not something we get to when the work is done. Joy is not optional. If you're on fire for the work, your energy spreads. I tell you all the time, you set the temperature. Okay, you set the temperature. No one is going to be more excited, more passionate, more committed than you about anything, about leadership, fundraising. Like if you're telling me I hate fundraising, but I want my board to fundraise, that is not going to work. Okay. And here's why. Because no one is going to be more excited than you. And you can't say, well, I'm just going to sit back and hate it, but you guys can figure out a way to love it. You are magnetic. You attract people and ideas and opportunities. What you put out is what you get back. If you want calm confidence, you put out calm confidence. I've told you the story before, one of my clients, and she would run into the office every day, rush, 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 rush. And I said, why are you running in? She goes, there's just so much to do. I said, but those same things are going to be there if you walk into the work. So what we worked on was just her sitting in her car for a minute, doing some breath work and then walking in the office with calm confidence and leading from that place. Because when she would put out frenetic energy, that's what she would get back. But if you're not conscious of it, you don't realize it. But joy is not optional. Success is when I love the way I show up. I'm going to say it again. Success is when I love the way I show up. How you show up is important. Shifting your energy is important and not faking it till you make it, really finding a place. Let's say you had a meeting and it was kind of difficult and or, maybe super stressful. Maybe there are some hard things happening. And now you're going into another meeting or another conversation and you're bringing all that with you. Pause and take a reset. Take a breath, clear out the energy, right? Find the magnetic part of you. Find that calm, confident part of you, and then enter the new conversation that way. We don't realize all the stuff, all the energy that kind of like sitting around us, and then we walk into a room and bring that with us. Success is when I love the way I show up. Okay, number 6, growth reimagine. Growth doesn't disappear, it just changes form. Growth is less about scaling your budget or staff and more about deepening your wisdom, expanding your capacity for empathy, boundaries, and emotional intelligence, sharing leadership instead of hoarding it. Growth reimagine means that deepening wisdom for everyone, including you. So many times people say, well, I'm going to train my staff before I train me. If you want them to grow, good leaders go first. You need to, it works best when you embody what you want to attract. Success isn't like one big destination. It's a living definition and it evolves with you, with your energy, and with your team and with your mission. And I talk about this a lot, and I really want to tap into this a little bit because, a lot of times I think we look at the wrong metrics for how we honor donors because we look at the idea of growth is how much, and those are the people that we put on the wall, and those are the people we value the most, who gives us the most. If we want donors to not feel like ATMs, maybe stop honoring them for the depths of their pocketbook, because there is somebody in your donor base that's been giving to you every month for the last 30 years. Are they going on a wall? There could be people who don't give you a bunch of money, but they're your biggest cheerleader and they show up for everything and they're so passionate about the cause, or they're volunteering forever. Are they going on the wall? Are they getting the recognition? Right? It's about the depth and deepening the relationships instead of the simple transactional metric of how many and how much. There's so many other ways to measure the growth of a relationship than how much. Yes, we need to raise money. Yes, we need to make budgets. And if you're focused on deepening the relationship, remember, relationship first, money will follow. Your mantra for this is success is when I'm expanding in wisdom, not just reach. Success is when I am deepening my wisdom. I am learning and growing. I'm allowing myself to do it and I'm allowing others to do it. And I am also learning and growing and looking at the ways that I not just create relationships, but monitor them and measure their growth. Success is when I'm expanding in wisdom, not just reach. So let's do a quick reflection exercise together for the fun of it. Why not? And you can journal this or just think as you listen, doesn't matter. Just contemplate these questions. What did success mean to me 2 years ago? What did that look like 2 years ago? What does success feel like now? What no longer feels like success, even if I'm still chasing it? And I'm actually going to answer these questions for you because good leaders go first. What did success mean to me 2 years ago? I can tell you exactly what it meant to me. It meant how much income I could make every month. That's how I measured success. And I sometimes at the expense of everything else that I had created. Because question 2, what does success feel like now? I need to make a living, right? I have bills to pay like everybody else. So yes, and income is important, but I look at how many followers I have. I look at all the emails I get every week telling me, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I love what you do. I look at success. I recorded a podcast with another company and the people were so grateful. And it's so interesting to share your wisdom for the first time with someone, have them give you feedback. It felt so good. Like that's what success feels like now is I just know what I'm putting good in the world, good things will come back to me. And what no longer feels like success, even if I'm still chasing it. I wanted big stages. I wanted to command the big stages. I'm a superstar. I don't know if you knew that, but I am. And I am. I am getting stages. Is it the big keynotes that I thought I would get? Maybe not. Would I still like that? Yes. And that really doesn't feel like success to me as much as the size of the stage. It's really the number of people that I'm impacting in whatever way I can impact them. So I have shifted my leadership and my growth. Redefining success doesn't mean you've lost ambition, it means you've gained wisdom. And this helped me a lot because I said, "Oh my God, if I'm not making enough money, maybe I'm not quote unquote successful." No, I just realized that I am shifting in what I value. And and that I know, like as I say it all the time, when I'm a value to you, you'll be a value to me. And that's what that looks and feels like, right? It feels like I'm gaining wisdom and understanding what success really, really feels like. Because leadership isn't about constant expansion, it's about alignment and leading from peace, not pressure. I want to let that land, leading from peace, not pressure. When you honor the season you're in, you lead with more clarity, confidence, and compassion. And that's what we all want. I'm going to read the mantras that I over for you. Let me grab my notes. I'm going to read each one. I'm going to pause in between. I want you to pick the one that really hits for you, right? And I want you to start using that when you start to go into a spiral, when the brain starts going, pop in this mantra. I think mantras are so helpful just to redirect our thoughts and energy to something that helps us and fits where we're at more effectively. So here we go. Hold on, I gotta find my paper because I put it out of order. All right, number one, success is when my calendar reflects my values. Success is when my calendar reflects my values. Number two, success is when I end more weeks energized than exhausted. Success is when I end more weeks energized than exhausted. Number three, success is when people feel better after interacting with me or my organization. Success is when people feel better after interacting with me or my organization. Number four, success is when change continues after I've stepped away. Success is when change continues after I've stepped away. Number five, success is when I love the way I show up. Success is when I love the way I show up. And number six, the last one, success is when I'm expanding in wisdom, not just reach. Success is when I'm expanding in wisdom, not just reach. I hope this helped you reshape, redefine your definition of success, not just for you, for your team, for your board, all the people around you. This is about the deepening of relationships. It's about working in alignment with your highest values, and it's about claiming your sovereignty each and every day, which you have and you can claim. You are the sovereign one. Okay, that is it for me in this episode of the Influential Nonprofit. Let me just tell you something real quick. This is in the show notes, but if you're interested, I am doing a mini coaching package. It's 4 sessions. We're going to walk through awareness, interest, connection, action, the whole donor pipeline together, get you all set up to either rock your fourth quarter or hit your first quarter next year with a really strong pipeline to bring in new donors and close the ones you have. We can do it together. Just book a link. It's in the show notes. And we'll talk about it and see if this is a good fit for you. And that's it for me in this episode of the Influential Nonprofit. I'll see you next time.